can feel the tension in Olympic Stadium even at that altitude as we approach one of the most eagerly awaited moments of these Olympic Games, the men's 200-meter final. And the stage is set for history to be made. Michael Johnson attempts to become the only man in Olympic history to have won the 400 and the 200 at any time, not just in one Olympic Games, but throughout history. No man has been able to win both those events in Olympic competition. Michael Johnson has assembled all the tools to claim this historic double. The eyes, the shoes, the stare, the speed. One man running for Olympic history.
It's very solitary. You're out there in your own lane, all alone, and it's just you and your body, and you're pushing it to the max. And the 200 is the most beautiful of them all, because when you're coming off of the curve and you're making that transition from the curve to the straightaway, it's like no other feeling.
It seemed like the double was a lock for Johnson until 1 month ago, when an old rival re-emerged from Africa. Namibia's Frank Fredericks seeks recognition for his country. There is a quiet confidence in his manner.
I have to believe that I can beat him, and obviously with the last race that we raced and I beat him, I think that I have I have the edge, and if I can just duplicate that race and come half a meter to a meter with Michael off the turn, I think that it will be an interesting race down the final.
Now the golden shoes must flash only 19 more seconds for Olympic history to be written. Michael Johnson will stand with the legends.
Tom, Michael Johnson has changed the traditional view about how you run this event. Used to be the 100 meters was all about explosive speed. The 200 meters was smooth acceleration and relaxation. Nothing particularly smooth, nothing particularly relaxed about the way Michael Johnson runs. It's controlled fury around the turn and pure power in the straightaway.
We talked about how meticulous he is, and this has become a trademark too, that focus, that stare.
Well, he says that some people have been thinking he's more vulnerable in the 200 meters because of his 400-meter victory, and he says, don't think it's going to be easier to beat me. That's a big mistake.
His chief rival, Frank Fredericks, running for the glory of his homeland, Namibia. It's only had its independence from South Africa a few years, and he ended Michael Johnson's 21-meet winning streak in Oslo, July 5th, in the 200 meters, and is very dangerous here.
Michael is 15-8 against Fredericks lifetime. Fredericks himself yesterday called Michael Johnson the one to beat. I think he wants to be the underdog, not the overdog in this particular race. And in fact, though, when reporters kept asking him, what about Michael Johnson? What about Michael Johnson? He finally said, I don't want to hear about that anymore. If you want to hear about Michael Johnson, go interview him.
Here are the lanes in this 200-meter final. In lane 1, Michael Marsh, the forgotten man, lives in Houston, Texas, went to UCLA. He is the defending Olympic 200-meter champion. He won this event in Barcelona. Quite an accomplishment for a man that parked cars during the '84 Olympics in Los Angeles, trying to repeat. Lane 2 is another American, Jeff Williams, bronze medalist at the World Championships last year, a 30-year-old, also from Los Angeles, California. Enjoys racing cars, drag racing to be exact. Once was a safety on the football team at Prairie View A&M. In lane 3 is Michael Johnson. He tried football when he was in junior high school. Wasn't very good. Football's loss is our game. In fact, went to Skyline High in Dallas. Until now, Larry Johnson of the NBA was the most famous Skyline graduate. I think that's changed already. All week he's been wearing T-shirts that say danger zone. That's what he says about the 200. You feel you're in the danger zone the entire 200-meter distance. In lane 4 is Ivan Garcia of Cuba. Only 24 years old. And lining up here right next to the man that is trying to make history tonight. Quite an intimidating presence for a 24-year-old. In lane 5 is Frank Fredericks, silver medalist in the 100 meters on Saturday. He won the 100 and 200 at the 91 NCAA championships competing for Brigham Young University. Lane 6 is Otto Bolden of Trinidad. He won the bronze medal in the 100 on Saturday. He says he prefers the 200 because of his low center of gravity. He's a UCLA man, and he could be dangerous in this race. He has that 100-meter spree that could put him right in front out of the blocks. Lane 7, Patrick Stevens from Belgium. He is the Belgian record holder, 20.19. That won't get him much here in this field. And lane 8, Obadeli Thompson from Barbados, 2 times Western Athletic Conference champion at 100 and 200, and had a wind 8 at 9.6900 earlier this year.
Tom, Michael Johnson has lane 3, his favorite lane for 200 and 400 meter running. The reason he lost to Frank Fredericks in Oslo was 2 sprinters' mistakes. A bad start. He stood up at the start and was slow out of the blocks, and he didn't lean at the tape. Frank Fredericks feels that if he can win the race to the first 100 meters, he can beat Michael Johnson.
They're approaching the top of the straightaway. Michael Johnson reaching deep. He has the lead, but Fredericks is still there, and so is Otto Bolden. But Michael Johnson has dead aim on the finish. Michael Johnson running for the line and into Olympic history. A new world record. He set a world record.
He destroys his old record. The win rating is okay. Tom, we talked about it before the 400 meters, those special moments in the history of track and field. Think about the record that he broke when he broke it at the Olympic trials. It had stood for 17 years. He broke it by 0.06 of a second. He almost lowered his old record by 0.3 in that race. They call it in track and field Beeman-esque.
Even Dan O'Brien, who is competing on the infield in the decathlon competition, has to get a piece of this special moment. Frank Fredericks finished second, and Otto Bolden ran third. At how much better he was at 400 meters than the other best in the world. And he does just about the same thing to an excellent 200 field, now getting his hamstring iced.
Well, we haven't seen the times yet, but it's safe to say that this is the fastest 200 meters of all time, as Fredericks just misses Michael Johnson's former world record, running 19.68. Otto Bolden runs a personal best of 19.80. 19.80. Remember, the record used to be 19.72 until Michael Johnson took over in June. There was just no way Michael Johnson was going to allow anyone to touch him in that race.
The ease with which he accomplishes these feats continue to astound me.
Well, you were right, Tom. He had an outstanding start. There he is on the right of the screen. Fredericks on the left. Fredericks was out well also. And remember, Fredericks said that if he could win the race to the first 100 meters, he would win the race. They were just about even at that point. But what happened after that was this incredible transition to the straightaway and an incredible determination on the part of Michael Johnson. No letting up. In fact, he ran so quickly, he almost didn't see the time that he ran.
It just flashed by, but I think he caught it anyway. He came out for his debut in the golden shoes, and they were prophetic. As you see just how fast he's going.
Well, they say that great sprinters excel in minimizing their ground time, that they're not so much running as flying. Michael Johnson takes a few more steps than everyone else in the field because he has a shorter stride, 3 to 6 inches shorter than most of the others. But he was doing every bit as much as flying as anyone else was.
And racing the clock as well as his competitors in this 200. Because of all the tension, it was, we thought, unlikely a world record would be set.
That's right. We didn't talk world record, mainly because we felt that people would be a little bit tight. They wouldn't be able to let it loose. They'd be looking at one another and not letting it go. Michael Johnson, obviously in a special category in that regard. If anyone ever doubted whether he was a great competitive athlete as well as a great athlete, this race proves that he is a man for the history books. It's hard to put that 19.32 in perspective other than to refer to a performance like that of Bob Beamon. When Bob Beamon bypassed altogether 28-foot jumps and took the world record right from 27 to 29 feet.
This is a phenomenon we've become accustomed to also. Every time Michael takes the track, the flash bulbs following him around the track like the wave through a stadium, and they have trouble keeping up.
And there you see his feet hammering the track like a boxer working the speed bag. No letting up this time. And pure joy when he sees the incredible time. We talked a lot about the humanity of this man and the dignity of this man. And we'll read more and more about him, but I think the fact that this is a family affair for the Johnson family, every Mercedes that he's won for his world championships, he's given to a sibling. When he had his unfortunate failure in Barcelona, where he didn't even make the final, an event where he was favored, it was his father that was quickly to his side and consoling him while he sobbed.
Paul and Ruby Johnson didn't care much about athletics. They had 5 children. Only one of them went into sports, but all 5 of them were college graduates, and that was what really made them proud.
Johnson, of course, attending to that leg immediately. He will be the anchor man of the 4x400 meter relay. A team slightly weakened by the loss of Butch Reynolds, or possible loss of Butch Reynolds, and Michael will be needed on that anchor leg. Coach Clyde Hart, part of that jubilant crowd.
Clyde Hart, who has been with him since his Baylor days. When he came to Baylor, he was just an afterthought. In fact, even at Baylor, in big meets, he was not a standout.
Yeah, but in his very first 200 meters for Baylor as a freshman, He broke the school record and lost by only 1/100th to the man who'd been ranked #1 in the world the year before. And Clyde Hart, who thought he had recruited Michael Johnson for relay fodder, suddenly realized he had something special.
But it really took his post-college days to see how special he is. We'll be talking to him later. Michael Johnson has set Olympic history, the first man to win the 400 and the 200. We'll talk to him when we come back. Back in Atlanta, the man who would be king has ascended the throne, the double and a world record to boot. Right now, Michael Johnson is with Chris Collinsworth.
Michael, you said you wanted to make history. You sure did.
I did. I have to say, though, I mean, anywhere else I probably would have ran 19.6 or 19.5, but this crowd is unbelievable. I mean, it's just, I've never run in front of a crowd like this, and that was a big part of it.
Have you ever heard an explosion like that when you cross the finish line?
Never. I mean, I've never heard an explosion like that crossing the finish line, but I've also never heard people scream that loud when I was getting into the blocks. It was just great.
Tell me about the world record. How long did it take before you realized that you had set that incredible time?
I knew I stumbled a little bit coming out of the blocks, and I tried to make up for that, so I ran the curve really hard. But coming home, I just felt really strong, and I knew I was running faster than 19.66, but I had no idea how fast.
Talk about the pressure of what you faced coming in here, the expectations. If you did anything but double, it would have been seen as a failure.
Oh, God, the pressure's been unbelievable. I mean, I can't even describe the pressure, but I perform well under it, and this is what happens when you're under pressure. It's like being chased by a dog, I guess. You know, when the pressure's on, I'm feeling good.
What happened to the leg? Did you pull your hamstring?
No, it's not pulled. I think it's just a little cramp or something like that, you know. I'll be ready to go for the relay in a couple of days, day after tomorrow.
Ruth Owens was right. You do run like Jesse Owens. Congratulations.
Well, that was the biggest compliment I could have ever gotten, and you know, Jesse Owens is my hero, and there'll never be another one like it, but if I can even come close, I'll be happy.
Congratulations.
All right, thanks. Gotta say what's up to my people at Glendale.
Tom.
All right, Chris. Let's take a look one more time at this historic moment. The crowd still buzzing about the feat of Michael Johnson. Here's the start he was mentioning.
Leave it to the meticulous Michael Johnson to criticize the greatest race in history in the 200 meters and one of the greatest track performances of all time.
Those golden shoes flashing, an image we'll never forget. Wow. Well, as he noted, one of the prized possessions he brought to Atlanta was a letter of praise from Jesse Owens' widow. He's often been compared to Owens, and somewhere tonight, Jesse is smiling. What a moment. Now back to Bob Costas.